In this video, we're going to give you a very quick introduction to the first flagships you'll get your hands on in Infinite Galaxy. And there is an overwhelming amount of information to take in about these flagships, so we're going to narrow in on the first ones you get and give you everything I wish I had known at the start of the game. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, a sponsored content creator for Infinite Galaxy. And it is very difficult to pick and choose a flagship in this game when you're learning all of the other things going on. So I thought it would be helpful to put together a guide giving you information about the very first flagships that you will start to play with. If you like Infinite Galaxy guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, hey, consider smashing that subscribe button for daily Infinite Galaxy videos. Let's give some basic information real quick about flagships before we do a deep dive on the very first ones you'll get your hands on. Now, flagships will be unlocked when you obtain blueprints. You can see those blueprints in the top portion of the screen that I have for this flagship that I have selected, the Hercules class. But if I tap the button in the bottom left, I'll do that again now just so you can see it. If I go back to my flagship dock, when I go and I tap build flagship, I can see all of the different flagships that are available in the game, as well as the number of blueprints I have of that flagship. Now, in order to summon it, I need to have the minimum required. That number is displayed down here. 4 out of 50 is where I'm at with the Apollo, so it might be a while before I unlock this flagship. Once you've built the flagship, you can further upgrade it using those blueprints. By tapping the Modify button in the middle right, I can go and modify the ship. That button is just behind my microphone right over here. Now, in order to make that modification, you've got to have the resources, you've also got to have the blueprint fragments, and it'll show you what that modification will do for your flagship. You'll always gain a bunch of stats. However, if you are going to get a skill up, it'll show you that right over here with this arrow. So if I were to take my Artemis to the next tier, I would get access to a higher level of shield boost. It would go from where it is now up to level 2. So what it's showing you here is what the final version of the skills will look like after you have made this upgrade. You can see this is level 2 over here. However, if I jump back to the flagship dock, it's level 1 over here. Now, there's another way you can massively improve the effectiveness of your flagships, and that is the fortification. That is right over here, also known as leveling it up. When I tap Fortify, I can use experience on the flagship to take it to the next level. This will bestow a huge number of benefits and a massive gain to all of these stats. I will point out to you, however, that there is a cap on your flagship level. It can only go so high. And what one of my Alliance members, Spartan, figured out is that when he leveled up his flagship dock, it seemed to increase the max level he could have for his flagships. Now, I don't know if that was exactly what did it, but he seems to think very strongly that that is the case, and I would imagine that it is. So I mention that because I don't have perfect information, but if you find yourself capped, consider leveling up that flagship dock. Why is that such a big deal? Because as you level up your flagships, you will get more stats and more leadership boost frequently will be bestowed to your flagship. This will allow you to have more warships. More warships means you can beat tougher enemies. Tougher pirates that you can defeat means more loot, and, well, that is all upside. The other way you can fortify your warships, by the way, is going and battling those pirates. You get a ton of experience doing that. You should spend your energy doing it. It is a very good use of that. So now that we've got the flagship basics out of the way, we need to talk a little bit about the flagships at your disposal at the start of the game. The very first flagships you will get your hands on are going to come from a number of places. That includes, by the way, the campaign. As you defeat certain campaign missions, typically it is the 4th mission on a planet that will give you a very nice boost to the number of blueprints you have of a flagship. In addition, as you level up your command center in-game, you will notice that there are quests that will give you even more blueprints of flagships. In this case, the Jason is what's next for me. The other place that you can go and get a lot of flagships is in the Trade Center. You go to the Blueprint section, and you can get more flagship blueprints of any flagship that is already in your roster that you've already built. With that said, the way that you'll get your legendaries is from this type of currency over here, and the way you can get everything else is this currency over here. The names for those are Federation credits and Federation advanced credits. One other major way to go and get a ton of blueprint fragments is from Alliance events. To give an example, we've got an event coming up called the Arcane Ghost Ship. However, the event that I'm referring to in this case is taking, for instance, one of these inner starfield strongholds. You can see this is giving blueprint fragments, in addition to some of the ones that let you pick the warship that you want. In this case, it's the Jason blueprint fragments that I'll get for taking this out. The level 1s and level 2s are giving Peleus blueprints, and that will be really important for us to talk about in just a bit. We've taken out, as an alliance, a ton of these, and if your alliance is not battling one or two of these every single day, I will give you the guidance to join an alliance that has realized that scheduling those is really important, or nudge your officers to go ahead and do that. We've pulled down an unbelievable number of fragments of the Peleus, which, by the way, great ship. So let's go now and get into how you actually use these different ships, because at first it's going to be a little bit confusing. Let's start with the Peleus. This is one of the first ships you'll get your hands on, and this is primarily a gathering ship. It's going to be used for gathering resources, which isn't going to matter on your first day. It's not going to matter on your third day. But by the time your 7th day rolls around, oh yeah, you'll be feeling the resource pinch, and to have been gathering will be a big deal. This is because their second skill is related to gathering, as is their 4th skill. Now, the 4th skill is about planet gathering specifically. This is where you use a special energy that is actually constrained. It's so good, you get a limited amount of it. And you gather from a planet. Let me go now, and I'll show you how to do this. I'll go to my Alliance, Alliance Territory, Planet Development tab, and I'll pick a planet where nobody's gathering. Here's one. And you can see when I smash gather, I get 500 planet energy a day. The Peleus, this ship, is designed to gather specifically from planets. The other place you can gather is from asteroids. To find an asteroid, I tapped the radar button in the upper right, and there are no free asteroids in this system. Ooh, there's one. Okay. There's a deuterium comet. So I can show you, I would hit gather, and I would go and gather from it. But this Peleus really is best suited for planets. It's one of the first gatherers you get, and that will be important to use. The next gathering ship you'll get your hands on, also at the blue tier, is going to be the Argo. You're going to get a lot of fragments of the Argo. This ship is great because it increases your load. And not only is this ship good, by the way, for gathering, a load boost is also really good for plundering other players. This is not the ship you use to beat them up and zero them. This is the ship you use to haul away all their resources. In addition, it's got a gathering speed boost, and on the last skill, a movement speed boost. At the epic tier, the Jason, also a gathering ship. The second skill increases your load. Great for plundering, great also for gathering. The next skill, gathering speed. The next skill, movement speed. And the last skill, warship armor. I'm currently using a blend of all 3 of these gathering ships, and at the start of the game, a few days in at least, once you have enough warships that you can do this, you'll want to be using all of them as well. Now, the next category of warship we need to talk about is for battling against pirates, and pirate loot is amazing. You should be battling pirates at every opportunity. When you have the energy, you should go and do it. So speaking of pirates, why is this ship good? It increases your damage or your attack with neutral units by 20%, which is really quite good. That's at the 2nd level. That's where mine is. But that goes all the way up to 48%. And the next skill increases your warship armor, shields, and hit points. After that, you can have more warships in your fleet by increasing your fleet leadership limit. And last but not least, the health of your warships will go up when battling neutral units. Again, that includes pirates. I'm going to assume that includes the strongholds and also the Federation fleets as well. This is a absolutely fantastic fleet. Not for battling other players, although you could use it for that, but specifically for battling pirates. Now, the last major flagship I want to talk about that you get access to very early in the game is potentially, if you're spending, the Artemis. This is a legendary flagship specifically for frigates. Now, this has some upsides and it has some downsides. The biggest upside of the Artemis is its accessibility through spending. It's probably one of the easier flagships to get at the start of the game because you can spend your way into a decent level with it. The downside of the Artemis is that it is a focus on frigates specifically. And you'll notice when you battle things that your frigates are the first things to die, which means when you're in a big group fight with your alliance, your frigates are going to die and you were basically a meat shield for other people's cruisers and destroyers, which is maybe not the place you want to be if you want to get lots of event points, which is why, by the way, I recommend Hercules for that. Hercules is for neutral units. Now, at the start of the game, realistically, you'll be using one flagship and powering it up a lot. So that probably is the Artemis if you're a spender, or the Hercules if you're not. Now, if you happen to unlock one of the other flagships that's in the game, you could go all in on one of those. And what I want to call your attention to is that flagships that have a similar look probably have a similar function. In other words, you see what this Artemis looks like? Sure does look awfully similar to this Orion. And as it turns out, the skills are basically the same, but not nearly or not quite as good on the epic as they are on the legendary. Now, I will point out that there is a breakpoint here where actually the epic ship could be better than the legendary ship depending on how many skill ups you have. So just because a flagship is orange, or I guess sort of yellow, it doesn't mean that it is the very best one. The amount that you have modified it and tiered it up through modification is going to matter substantially. Hopefully, this quick introduction to flagships gives you the majority of what you need to know. I suppose if there's any one last topic, I would say gear is also really important. Fill all the gear slots. Start there. Make green stuff. It's good enough to start. Once you've done that, you'll get a better sense of what you might want to do next, and you'll have a really, truly better idea of whether you want to focus on a damage type, you want to focus on hit points or armor or shielding. For now, keep it simple. Pick a variety of the greens, level them up, and at the start of the game, that is going to be a great way to play. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, consider subscribing to the channel for those daily Infinite Galaxy videos, as well as more advanced guides, which are on their way. Until next time, you have fun smashing your nebula.